Alrighty, everybody, here we are on yet another edition of the ReEducation Camp podcast. My name is Colin Miller, being joined alongside, as always, by the incomparable, the ravishing Ms. Karen O'Toole. I was trying to think of a new adjective, and that one came to mind. So I hope you don't mind.
That's
What date
okay. I
is it,
think
Karen?
incompetent might be more accurate.
Well, you were telling me, Karen was telling me about her wild night. We're getting a bit of a late start here, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday evening, July
Yes.
28th, at the time that we're recording this. And we're getting a late start because Karen was out partying all night with her friends, and she was telling me all about it. And me being the sport that I am, I'm saying like, "Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you had a good time." And not missing a beat. Karen's like, "No, you're not. You're you're not happy about this because I'm so transparent to the people who know me, and you've known me for many years now. So I can't really lie per se. Like I'm extremely transparent. So I find it very endearing though, that you can call me out on that, and it's like no big deal. So
Yeah, it's no big deal. And it's also like it's endearing quality of yours. That it's like, oh no, I know how you really feel. But I feel like most people feel that way. I don't believe that there are many individuals that really get excited and are real happy to hear that other people are having a good time, or even if it's not necessarily you want them to have a bad time, but like you just have a little fear of missing out. Like right now, we're recording this, and I know that my cousin is visiting and getting together with my family, but I live a little bit out of the way. I did have a late night. It's a Sunday and I can't make it, but there's part of me that has so much FOMO. It's not that I don't want them to have a good time, but I'm just like, I wish I was there
I don't
too.
want them to have a good
Yes,
time.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
but
genuinely hope for like a
yes.
disaster of some sort to put a major damper on the events. Like sincerely.
And is this for all people at all times if it doesn't include you? Is that how you feel?
I'm the kind of guy who I don't really want to go anywhere, but if I don't get that invite, I will feel personally slighted. And there was even one particular instance when I was working at the dispensary years ago, bagging up the weed, during the great pandemic of 2020, where a close friend of mine did not invite me to the birthday party of another coworker. And after a few days, I was just boiling with such animosity and such anger that right in the middle of the workday, I like stopped everything. Like we're behind the counter, like bagging up the weed for the customers who are waiting in the parking lot. And I pulled her aside. I'm like, "Can I talk to you in the break room?" And I pulled her into the break room. Like, meanwhile, everybody's working. Like, we're not on a break or anything. I just pull her and I'm like, "Why didn't you invite me to such and such's birthday party?" And if you could see the security footage, it probably looked similar to George Costanza during the episode when he wanted to be he wanted to be T-Bone. That's what his he wanted his nickname to be, but somebody else was T-Bone, so he pulled them aside to yell at them. And then he became Coco the monkey because of his actions, his motions on the security footage. So I probably looked like Coco the monkey as I was dressing down my dear coworker because I didn't get invited to this lowbrow white trash party, which I didn't want to go to anyway. But the point is, I want the invite. Please know that I'm not gonna come, but at the very least, give me the invite so I feel like I had
Yes,
the option.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Colin has been invited to my wedding, which he did not attend, which I can understand because it's hard to come and you don't really know certain
What
people.
year
You
was
were
that?
invited 2017.
What was I doing? Probably nothing.
Nothing, nothing, but that's okay. You could be married to one of my cousins by now if you
Why
would
didn't
have
I
just,
come? I feel kind of bad now.
well, maybe you just, I'm sure just because it was mixed company, you didn't know who you would talk
That was
to.
a dark era,
That's
actually.
a dark era.
2016 to 18 was a
It's a
dark
dark
era,
era
and
in
I say that
Colin.
with sincerity. So damn, I feel son of a.
Don't feel bad. I'm not, although somehow I remember, but I do know, well, I know I invited you. So I do know that I did not slight you in that way. And I also invited
Well,
you
you would
during the
never.
pandemic to see Tim Dillon in a tent in Pennsylvania,
I remember that too. I was
in a
supposed to
tent
come, but
outside
then
in February.
yeah,
And you also bailed on that one. So that's okay. But I
yeah,
invited you, and that is why we have remained friends, because you understand. And I never held it against you that you did not attend. I understood, but
that's
you were
true.
still invited. So I guess that's why. But I can tell a little bit, even though you live 1,000 miles away, I can see that there's a little bit of anger that you were not invited last night in town.
Right. I wanted to come whitewater river rafting
Rafting.
in Jim Thorpe. Like, why wasn't I, it's
I would have
just
flown from Orlando to be there, which we know would not
yeah.
have ever occurred. But
No.
um, no, it's okay. I do not hold those items against you, but I do like that you just described 2016 to 2018 as a dark era
Was.
In Collin lore. So I understand. I feel like we all have a dark era in our existence. I definitely feel like for each one of us, there is like those, it's kind of like in the Bible where there's the Old Testament and there's like a 400 gap between the Old Testament and the New Testament. There's like that dark era where we don't know anything. Well, we do know a little bit about it, but I'm saying it's not included in the Old and New Testaments. Um, and there's a 400-year gap. And that's kind of that. I feel like all of us once you get to a certain age, Colin and I are both about to turn, well, we're both of us are having a birthday next month. So we're in our 30s. Um, but all of us has a season of just, of darkness. So, or
It's like
just,
things got better
like,
once I started using marijuana heavily, but then things got worse the more I started using. So it was really a
interesting
complicated. I'm a very
relation.
complex individual. There's a lot going on in here, as you know. But this show isn't about me, though. We do want to
It
talk
is. It
about.
is. Let's be
Well,
real. As I have said
yeah.
before, this is actually a BetterHelp session that we just decided to monetize. So instead of BetterHelp paying us, we are just, well, actually nobody's paying us. We just put this out into the
Clearly,
ether,
there's
but
no
it's really
doorknob.
just
Still, after all these years,
after all this.
still no doorknob. You know,
Yeah, there's still no plastic surgery on this face, okay? And we're still not eating
no,
carnivore diets.
no
So
Ozempic.
we can't afford Ozempic. We can't afford the carnivore meats, and I can't afford a doorknob. So please, somebody out there sponsor this show. We will literally hawk anything at this point. We will hawk Tua, okay? We will do whatever
Oh my
it
God.
takes.
That is her are her 15 minutes up, by the way? Like is it over? Have we passed the
I
peak?
feel, yeah, I feel like I think we're pretty close. Even to be honest with you, my little sister who was 14 did not even know about her. She has no
Good.
knowledge. Yeah,
Good.
yes,
Because
yeah.
minors shouldn't be privy to hawk to a girl. Like
Yes, yeah.
honestly.
She is not and yeah, so don't worry, I did not explain or show her the video. So,
Go.
yeah,
Well,
so I think that is
good.
it's time for our 15 minutes. So hopefully we don't say anything alarming or incriminating. We don't want infamy. We just want really we just want money. Let's be real.
I just want a check sent to my
Yeah.
mailbox for doing very little. And that's really how I always envisioned my life from a
Yeah,
wee
yeah.
child. I just
We don't want to retire. We want to follow Ben Shapiro's advice. We don't want to retire. We want to work
right.
really hard, and this is what we want to do for work. This was what we've decided that we realize Social Security is not going to happen. It's not going to be there. Ben Shapiro will be taking over the country and will not allow us to retire. So we're trying to make sure that this is our line of work. So when we're 80 years old, this is what we're doing instead of what we're doing right now. So that's kind of just the objective
The
of this
good news is,
BetterHelp
I think when we're
session.
80, like our 80 is going to look a lot different than our grandparents' 80. Like we're still going to look pretty good, I think. And I envision myself still being quite spry and mobile, knock on wood. Don't you think that our seniors are going to be like a bit more foxy and a bit and a bit more.
Well, it's interesting. Have you seen these memes where it's like Jennifer Lopez at 55 and then they show you one of the Golden Girls at 55?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
our 80 is going to be different. Our 70 is going to be different.
Yeah, well, like as you said, the I don't know that the age expectancy is improving, and we do have a lot of medical breakthroughs, but we also are just like poisoning ourselves with the food
It's
and with the
true.
environment. So they actually say that the millennial generation is going to be sicker earlier
Shit.
than than previous generations. So it's like we'll all be on Ozempic, but so we'll be thin, but we'll also be like killing our pancreases because we're taking Ozempic and we're still eating, bonbons and Doritos. So we're just like poisoning ourselves, and then we're taking medicine to counteract the poison instead of actually getting to like the root cause. But that's not necessarily true. There are a lot of people. I was just talking to a mother today who's like homesteading. So you do have, but that's a lot of work. That's like,
This reminds me of that meme that you shared with me a week or so ago, where it was the guy in the wheelchair with the oxygen, and it said, "I'm here for a good time, not a long time." And he's got
yeah.
like the smoke, he's got the cigarette butt in his mouth, and he's on the
Yeah, shout
oxygen.
out. That was Devin Avery, I believe. Oh, yeah, Devin Avery, I believe his name is. He's from the Lemon Party podcast, but he's a cartoonist and
That
he's a
was a
great
good one.
Instagram. If you have the dark sadistic humor that Colin and I are so blessed with, you will enjoy his Instagram. So again, I think it's Devin Avery, but it's definitely the Lemon Party podcast. So check that out. Check out some of his work and get a good laugh. But yeah, like you said, you have a lot of people that are out there like that. So I don't know. And I just got a new phone, and I do feel like that's part of like why the 55-year-olds this generation look better, quote unquote, than the generations previously.
Because of iPhone filters.
Well, no, because yes, yeah, there's that, and some help from cosmetics and plastic surgery and et cetera, et
Fillers.
cetera. But I got this new phone, and I like went to see my, when you go on Snapchat, like it shows you your face. And I was like horrified. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to see, like, this is too good of a camera. Like I liked my iPhone 8 that was not as strong of a camera. So it kind of didn't show me every single little,
Yeah.
issue that's happening on my face. So I think that is why also, like I said, I'm about to turn 34 in like 2 weeks. And I I think about like past generations, you just did not see a constant, not every 20 times a day, you weren't able to hold up something and see your face.
Right.
Well, I guess you could look in a mirror, but who really stared at a mirror all
You're
day? And
almost
then,
like an animal. Like think about like
yeah,
when I think about my cat, like I often think, does she know what she looks like? Probably not. And sometimes I'll hold her up, I'll pick her up and I'll stand in front of a mirror with her and I'll point and I'll be like, that's you. Do you know that I don't think it registers in her little cat brain though that
yeah,
is
good for
a
her.
the concept of a reflection. So that must be something to not even really know what you look like nor care.
Yeah, yeah, like you said, I just believe that the camera technology has gotten better, and we're sharing images. Like when in previous generations did you like share an image of yourself at 34 with people you knew when you were 16 that you haven't seen in 20 years, and you feel like they're judging you. So that's why we're seeing this like big trend of younger people. And you were saying, what were you saying about your diet? You wanted to talk a little, speaking of self-care. Are you
Yeah,
are you on
because
another journey? We're always on a journey here
yes, we're
on this show. It's
starting.
like Joe Rogan has like sober November, October. Colin and
Yeah,
I are
sober October.
every week, Colin and I make commitments to our self-care, our health, our mental well-being. And every week we pretty much break them in the next day. Like by the
Yeah, in
next
record time.
morning, record time, we are completely off the wagon. And yeah, so what is the new and improved Colin routine?
Well, it's just that I've been on a bit of a binge the past 2 days, and you see what happens is once there are any sweets introduced in my home, I have this thing in my brain that says you must eliminate them, you must consume
Yes.
them as fast as possible.
Yes.
And I had my folks over my place on Friday, and I ordered a pizza from the local pizzeria, got a nice supreme pizza pie, and my mom brought over donuts, and these were chocolate frosted donuts with cream in them. I guess they were like a Boston cream. But she
Mm,
left them, like after they left, she left the donuts here in my house.
sabotage.
Yeah, there were like 2.5 donuts still here. So I polished them off that night. Like I went off on a bender. Now, when I go off on a bender, it involves sugar. It involves like ice cream and cakes and cookies and donuts. And I also bought these ice cream sandwiches at the grocery store. They're called Fat Boys. Have you ever seen them before?
Are they the round ones? Are they round or no?
No, they're like
Okay, okay,
square. It's like a
okay,
square, thick
okay.
ice cream sandwich. They're called Fat Boys. I recommend them if you're in the market for an ice cream sandwich. But I polished those off pretty fast, and basically, like, this Friday and Saturday, I have just felt like this bloated, puffed out, blob, this mass of humanity. So when I woke up today, I said, okay, listen, we really got to reel it in here. We're gonna cook some bacon, some eggs. So I fried up some eggs on the stove,
Nice.
made some bacon in the new air fryer that I got. I had some Greek yogurt with some mandarin oranges. So that's what I've eaten so far today. I'm not gonna have any sweets the rest of the week. I've been implementing a new health routine that I got turned on to online, and this was recommended by Kourtney Kardashian. So there's got to
Okay.
be
Yeah, there's
some
got to be some
legitimacy
yeah,
to it.
yes, absolutely.
I've been doing a shot of extra virgin olive oil a day. And I feel like this is probably very beneficial for you because extra virgin olive oil, as we know, is very good for the heart, very good for the skin. But I think you're burning off a lot of the good stuff in it when you're cooking with it. So I have this theory, and Kourtney obviously has this theory too. And she's married to Travis Barker, the drummer from Blink 182. So, I feel like I'm in good company here with the advice that
Yes,
I'm getting.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing a shot of extra virgin olive oil in the morning before I eat everything. Well, I usually do eat everything. And I'm trying to keep this up. I feel like it's going to have positive effects on the brain, positive effects on my complexion. So, long story
What
short,
did she claim that it would have? What
oh, I don't know, it
benefits?
lines your stomach and helps you digest food better, something
Okay,
like that.
okay,
I
okay,
just think that you're going to reap the benefits if you just ingest it by itself rather than cooking with it. Do you know what I mean?
okay, okay. Yeah, that makes
Just a theory
yes,
that I have.
you're
And
right that heating something will change its properties. So there is some legitimacy behind that. You could have it in like a salad, but
I don't do salads though, because salads kind of upset my stomach, like a lot of like the roughage,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm not a big vegetable guy. I have a theory that they're not really necessary.
Okay, because Jordan told us so.
Did he say that? Did Jordan Peterson say
Jordan
that?
Peterson's on the carnivore diet.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, vegetables. Well, don't they? I think when you pick certain vegetables, they actually release some sort of chemical as a defense mechanism when you pick
Oh,
them. So I don't know.
oh.
I don't think they're necessary. I think you can get whatever you need from like fruit, like whatever you can get from a vegetable, you can get from fruit, I
Wait,
think.
so fruit doesn't also have well, I thought all I know is meat is bad. This I know, for Jordan Peterson tells me so.
He was on
But,
Joe Rogan again
but I'm
recently,
saying, but
and
yeah, but I'm saying like aren't berries the same as aren't they also like vegetables that they probably release some kind of I don't
not
think
to
he
my
eats
knowledge,
meat.
Karen. Not to my knowledge.
I'm saying doesn't he only eat meat? Like he only eats like animal
Right, and apple
protein meat
cider.
and fats. Yeah, and apple cider. All right. So Mr. Peterson was back on the Joe Rogan podcast.
And yeah, well, I had the thought like, what more do we need to hear from this guy at this point? You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
been on that podcast now. What is this, like his sixth appearance on the Joe Rogan pod? Do we really need to hear another 3 hours of his musings and thoughts about what is he even really saying? He's not really saying
Yeah.
anything at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
I
just
know that did you watch the whole Elon Musk interview?
Was there another one?
No, just that one that you sent. The other, like,
Oh,
yeah,
the
yeah,
Jordan
with Jordan
Elon Musk.
Peterson and Elon
No,
Musk. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't
Then
have
you sent
time
me
for
a
that.
clip, and yeah, it was interesting. It looked like Elon was a little confused with some of the places Jordan was trying to go with it. But
So he's
I
thinking the
saw
same
that.
thing we're thinking. Like this guy is saying nothing. He's saying so much, and he's
Why
saying
does he sound
absolutely
like a
nothing.
leprechaun? What is happening here? Why did
Right.
I agree to this? Well, yeah, no, I think, like I said, I feel like we had talked about previously that, like, the problem is that everybody wants people to have all the answers. They want one oracle to have all of the answers. So, Jordan Peterson is the oracle of Ottawa or Canada or something, right? And like Joe Rogan is the oracle of Austin, or really that should be, let's be real, that's Alex Jones. But
Well, yeah,
but yeah, yeah. So
he was there
but
before
yes, he
Joe.
was definitely, yeah. So but I'm just saying, like, everybody wants to think that somebody has all the answers, says everything correctly, and is spot on with everything. And there are people, like, I think Jordan Peterson does bring some interesting thoughts to the table, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, absolutely. And we
It's just at a
definitely
certain
know
point, it's like what is there to what is
add
left to be
here.
said at a
Yeah,
certain point.
yeah, yeah. No, no, exactly. Yeah, I completely understand how you feel about that. Well, it's really if he's like reacting to certain things that are happening. But like you said, there's just so many people talking and not doing, which is what we're doing, but we are special.
Yeah, we are in a special
We are
category.
special, yeah. But really, it's like, it's so funny, like, all of these people that they get some kind of notoriety and then they have like a podcast, as if, and we've seen where it doesn't work. Like, not everybody, like Hillary Clinton, the Obamas, Meghan Markle, just so many different individuals. It just can't be what everybody does. Like, everybody cannot do that. Like, it's just, I don't know. I kind of feel like an idiot saying it because it's what we're doing. But like I said, we've been doing this forever. We were doing this OG radio. Collin and I, back in 2013, were on the radio co-hosting. And this is just, we were doing this before it was cool. We were old school. We're old school talkers, right?
Yeah, and one of Howard Stern's criticisms of podcast, he would always talk down about podcasters because in his mind it's like I had to work my way up through the ranks and I had to pay my dues, driving into Boston early in the morning to work at such and such radio station. So like in a sense, I feel like we've paid a
We
lot
paid our
more
dues.
dues than
Yeah.
like Michaela
Yeah.
Peterson, for instance. Like what dues did she pay?
I went to so many freaking Carbon and Schuylkill County fairs and sat out in the 100-degree heat and came and had to be basically stalked by individuals that were in like facilities that come to say hello to me and be on the radio, get up in the morning, do the on-air shift. Like you said, like I did this from the time I mean, really, I started working in radio when I was 18. And I pretty much, I mean, I still actually do work in radio in a sense.
You
But
do.
uh, but uh, um, I am still a broadcaster. But like you said, like, it's something we have paid a lot of dues. And I don't necessarily think that we need to eliminate, like you said, there's no barriers to entry now, but then the cream of the crop should rise to the top.
It's what
I
the
do,
Macho Man Randy Savage said. The
yes,
cream
yeah.
always rises to the
Yes,
top.
but I also believe that there are a lot of people that are in this right now that are going to be leaving it because it's not really what they wanted to do. They just saw other people doing it and thought it was their thing. But when we were getting into radio, everybody was fleeing this kind of medium because it was just it was dying. It was a dying industry. It wasn't something people were interested in. And podcasting kind of reinvigorated it. And we should have been on the ground floor with that. You kind of were. But
Yeah,
I was still living
sort
in the
of.
dinosaur world of radio broadcasting. So we are broadcasters. We're not podcasters. They're podcasters. we're broadcasters. There's a little bit of difference there.
Yeah,
But
we have a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
more credibility than your average
Yeah.
bear,
Okay.
so to
We
speak.
really don't. we're
We're just
but we
morons. We don't know
but we were
anything.
but
Seriously,
we were
like
on the radio. Somebody Carrie
we were.
Lassie let us on the radio.
Yeah, big shout out to
Big care
to
shout
Carrie.
out.
God bless her. She
They
was,
fed us to the wolves. But yeah,
yeah.
Colin and I, we had some good times. There were some wild times
Oh
in
yeah.
our radio days, and people we'll have to do like special, very special episodes dedicated to radio, because radio really is like, if you've ever seen WKRP in Cincinnati, like it's so accurate. Like that, I was Johnny Fever. I feel like that was closest to my personality in the radio out of
I
those
need to go back and watch
characters.
that show. I remember it
Yes,
used to be on at
yeah.
Nick at Night, but I was more into like I Love Lucy and All in the Family.
Yeah,
Like
I
those were
never
two my two
really
shows.
Yeah, I never really watched it until like I worked at a radio station. My parents would be like, "This is just like that show." Like it's just, and like when you watch The Office and there's so much like hoopla and craziness going on, like that is working in a radio station, because everyone is nuts. And I guess we were too, because we were there. So
Yeah, no, we definitely fit in
we definitely fit
in
in
that
with a,
world, so to
yes,
speak.
yeah, absolutely. But you were going to talk about Andrew Tate was going off.
Oh
Really,
yeah,
Colin,
yeah.
Colin only, we only tune into, we don't really check in with a lot of people. Like a lot of these
No,
people, I just saw that Tucker Carlson just overtook Joe Rogan as like the biggest show on
on the Apple
Spotify
charts, I
or
think.
something. Yeah.
I think it's on the Apple
Um,
charts. He's
we
#1
prefer to
now.
tune into Nick Fuentes and Andrew Tate. That's like
Yeah,
where we're,
I get my news from like Nick Fuentes, the Tate Brothers, and David Icke.
Yeah,
Those are
yeah,
my
the Holy
sources.
Trinity. The Holy
Yeah.
Trinity. I try to say Holy Trinity about something every episode, but that's the Holy Trinity right now at the moment is the information sources.
Pretty much, pretty much. And to talk about something topically, which leads into Andrew Tate here. So let me ask you, did you see the blasphemous start of the Olympics with the transgender Last Supper?
Well, okay, so I had saw on Friday night, I got home, I saw that there was like a menage a trois scene. And I said to my husband, I'm like, oh, we're sitting down to eat. Sometimes on like Fridays, we kind of like chill. We don't sit at the table. We usually always sit at the table. But on Fridays, we were kind of eating like bad, like chicken cheesesteaks. And we're like, let's just chill. It's Friday, putting on the television. So I see this and I'm like, oh man, like we should watch the opening ceremony to see what it was like, because it's just a big production and I got to look for the satanic rituals. So we ended up finding like YouTube. We had to like pay, we had to pay, like sign up for a subscription that I need to cancel because I only wanted to watch this for 5 minutes.
YouTube TV.
But it wouldn't let us for a rewind, so we couldn't see it from the beginning. So I didn't even see, I only got to see part of it.
Should I show a clip of it? Would you
Yeah,
like me to
show,
show a
well,
clip of it?
I did end up seeing this drag Last Supper,
I
which
think our
is what,
audience needs to
yes.
see it though. We need to
Yes, yeah,
show it.
let's show it.
This,
Let's show it. I need to
this needs
take
to
it
be
in
shown
again.
here.
I need to be, yeah, washed in the blood of Satan here.
Yeah, you really it's the best way to wind down on a Sunday afternoon,
Is to get
honestly.
enraged in the spiritual battle against good and
Yeah.
evil. I
Yeah, let me
mean,
back
evil
this up
against
here.
good. I don't know.
Let me see if I can share this. Like I always say, we are a bit of a two-bit
Yeah,
operation here.
we're broadcasters.
Literally, figuratively. Let's see here. Oh, the share button is always right in front of me, but for some
You
reason,
can't say it. Jamie would have had it already up, but that's okay.
oh, Jamie would have had this shit pulled up. But here you go. Here is can you see this, Karen?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
offended
gonna
by
play
the
this.
tattoos, but go ahead.
So this is supposed to be,
Is
the
that
Christ
a
figure.
is that a man or a woman? Because it's
That is a
drag.
woman. That is a woman.
Okay.
This was the scene here. The opening scene at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris,
Yeah,
France.
which is clearly supposed to be the Last Supper. Yeah.
Obviously. This is obviously supposed to be a mockery of the Last Supper. I mean, come on. So, all right, we've seen enough of that.
Wait, what is that weird? Why is she holding that like heart symbol? Do you see
Should I
that?
go
It's
back to
very,
it? Do I have to go
yeah,
back to it?
well, did everybody see that right when she was, did you see her? She's just standing and her eyes are like glaring off, like she's like hyper focused on keeping this position
Let me
for
pull it back
some,
up.
that's the only dance move she could do. It's just like,
Let me
just
pull
stand
it
here
back
like
up
this.
here. Okay, here we go.
What
Yeah,
is,
I see what you're talking about.
but is that like the sacred heart?
That I see a lot of the kids do that nowadays. They do the little to show their adoration for somebody to say I love you. They make the
Yeah.
little heart
Okay, so
symbol
she
with their
starts.
hands.
And she
But
had, yeah.
but
It looks
yeah,
like she
this
has
was
chains around her wrist. Like
pretty
she has,
wild. Yeah, we this so this is your drag show, your tranny Last Supper, and I love how like look at there's like a random little girl there, and then opposite her there is a bearded man in drag. This is just
I didn't even see the child. Wow.
yeah, there's a child there, which is highly inappropriate. So I mean, this was from the Olympics,
Yes. Oh,
this
yes. Yeah, yeah. From the opening ceremony. Yes.
yeah.
Wow. The
So
child is really, really striking. Come on,
yeah,
people. Wake up. Like, wake up. It's no longer, we're no longer woke. We're awake. Like, let's be real here.
this is
Okay.
beyond woke. This is just like straight up in your face, like satanic pedophile drag hour. Like I
Yes.
know it's like
Yeah.
almost cliched in a sense to like talk about. People always associate this type of thing with like boomer cons overreacting
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
people on the left, but I don't think this is an overreaction. This is like a straight up mockery of Christianity.
Yeah.
And how Andrew Tate gets involved in this, it's like his whole thing is where are all the Christians, standing up and speaking out against this blasphemy, this degeneracy? So I want to show a little clip now of Andrew Tate standing up against this type of thing here. Let me pull this up now. And were you able to hear any audio, by the way, Karen, when I was
Oh, yeah, the audio. Yeah, for some reason the audio doesn't get shared. I don't believe.
well, that's okay because I can at least show the tweet here. Let me show the tweet from our king Andrew
Okay.
Tate. Let's see here. I'm going to share this now. Alrighty, so let's see here. All right, here we go. Can you see that? Andrew Tate. This is his
Yeah.
tweet. I will sleep perfectly fine in jail knowing I went for Jesus. How do you Christians sleep in your nice, comfortable homes as they mock you?
Yes, and he's Muslim, correct?
Yes, he is Muslim, but his brother Tristan here to the left of him is actually Christian. And you can see them holding up the signs,
Yeah.
showing that this was an obvious blasphemy of the Last Supper. But God bless the Tate brothers for being out there and picketing in support of Christianity because he's got a point. There aren't a whole there is there really I know that there's an outcry online, but what are Christians really doing at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Not much. Just sort of expressing their grievances online and then like letting shit like this happen. I mean, if you did this with any other religion, I mean any other religion, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, can you
You
imagine
know,
if that was Muhammad? They
yeah,
would,
no, you
you're not
couldn't.
even allowed to create an image of Muhammad. They will, the
No,
Charlie Hebdo, which is a Parisian magazine, was, they've for years, it's been ongoing attacks and just so many repercussions from just a cartoon of Muhammad. So, like you said, like they're a lot more, but I also, so I just want to go back and say, that the Da Vinci depiction of the Last Supper for some people has actually been considered always blasphemous, because some people believe that they've said that James is not really James, it's Mary Magdalene. So some people believe that
Mm,
there's some kind of sacred geometry that is evil in nature. Some people might believe the opposite, that it's divine in nature with the Last Supper painting by Da Vinci. So perhaps we've always had just a evil demonic underpining in our artistic creation, but now it's on a more overt level. I don't know. I'm just saying that that has been a conversation. You remember the Da Vinci Code? They said Mary Magdalene had the
yes.
child with Jesus, and they say that in the Last Supper, I do believe it's James. They say it's not really James, it's Mary Magdalene. So, as I said, there are some there. I can't go into the deep dive about it, but like I said, I think that there's always been some type of demonic presence in our artistic creation, and there's always been that force. But like you said, now, and I have a family member who tried to say that the Olympics is not a Christian event. It never has been. So I don't understand why you're offended. And like, well, if it's not a Christian event, why? But that's fine. We accept that it's not a Christian event, but why did the opening ceremony feel the need to go out of their way to offend and to upset 2 billion people on this planet who worship Christianity? You
They knew
understand what
what
I'm
they were
saying?
doing.
Yeah, they knew what they were
They
doing.
knew damn
And
well.
yeah, but I feel like as Christians, actually just watched a documentary the other day called God and Country about the rise of the Christian nationalist. And I do have to say that as Christians, I believe that we we need to just take these events. We don't necessarily need to get out in the street. I don't really feel like that is the way to go. That feels like the Crusades that didn't really end well or work well. But I feel for Christians, we need to take that, and instead of going on Twitter, instead of going in the streets, instead of like fighting with our niece or our nephew or our
On
brother
Facebook.
on Facebook, we need to be getting in our Bibles. We need to be praying, because if that is where we are at, like you said, you pointed out the child, it's very strange that you have all this debauchery and you have a child at that supper as well, at
Yeah, a
that
lone
seating
child.
place, a lone child. And that is just that there is a disturbing nature. Now, of course, they'll call us disturbing for pointing out anything disturbing about that, but I feel like the thing for Christians to do, it's if it's a spiritual battle, well, the Bible tells you to take on, it tells you the sword of the spirit. It tells you, the breastplate plate of righteousness. Those are, it's not guns, it's not weapons, it's not picket lines, it's not Twitter posts, it's not Facebook posts. It is prayer, it is the word of God, it is faith, it is righteousness, and that is what you are armed yourself with. We are in a spiritual battle. And I think that the problem is, as Christians, and as I always joke around, like point one finger, point many back at myself, that is where we are to be. Like but I think when we see something like this blasphemous event, this like outright just desecration of Christ, and really some kind of disturbing sexuality going on as well, at the one of the biggest events, global events, on stage for everybody to see, promote it right out front and center. It's a sign of the times. It's a sign. It is I believe just a flashing warning lights, like, hey, get right with God. Like, it's time to read. You know what? You think you know your Bible? Read your Bible. You think you pray to God? You think you have faith? Do you really? Like, not do you really, but like, get tight with God, get close to God, pray about these things. Because we see like Moses. Okay, I didn't know this was going to turn into Bible study, but
This is a
we see,
theological,
yes, yeah,
intense
yeah.
theological discussion
Yes, this
now.
is tense. Yeah, not, I'm no theologian. I'm a broadcaster,
Well, you are to
remember?
me, Karen. You're
But
you're my go-to.
we look at Moses in the Bible, and he wanted to lead the Israelites to the promised land. He wanted them to have freedom. I don't necessarily knew he knew it was the promised land, but he knew in his heart, God put the desire of his heart for these holy actions. But in his flesh, in his own pride, in his own abilities, he tried to kill, he didn't try, he killed the Egyptian slave master. And then he fled into the desert, and then God spoke to them in the burning bush. And by the time God had spoken to him, all those years later in the burning bush, he was so humbled. He was not, he said, I can't even speak. I don't even want to do, like, he was humbled. He didn't want anything to do with it. But God told him, no, you're my person. You're going to do this, and you're going to fulfill this. And that is very encouraging to us, because I think a lot of us, we see so much iniquity. We see so much injustice happening in our countries, in our homes, in our communities, in our nation. We see the wicked reigning, and we feel so defeated. We feel as if there's nothing we can do. And we turn on all of these different shows, especially conservative shows, and they get you so riled up. They get you so agitated. They get you so angry. You just want to go and storm the Capitol. And some people did. But the problem is, we need to know that we do it in God's, we do it in God's way. We humble ourselves. We seek him. We seek his actions and his, what he would have us do. And I feel like a lot of people just think that, like, the right reaction is just to argue with people on Facebook, and that's gonna solve problems. And it's like, no, that's not. I will like contradict myself a little bit and say, it is kind of encouraging to see people responding to it, on, like, seeing people post on Facebook and being like, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm
not
not
just
the
from
only
Christians
person.
either.
Yes. Yeah.
Other normal people
So
who look at this and see that it was an obvious mockery and are like, hey, what's up with this? This is
but yeah, let's not
offensive.
let's not take this moment and be encouraged and see that there are other people out there who are of the same opinion as us, who see the truth, that are awake. Let's not just take that momentum and let it die on a Facebook post and a fight with a family member. Like, let's make that mean a spiritual, closer walk with God. Let's let that be, a reading of the scripture. Let's make that mean prayer. Let's that
take
mean
the
love.
rope
Yeah.
And knock the tables over. That's what I say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And there's a righteous anger. There is a righteous, holy anger that people feel. But I think we do need to, make sure that we're doing it in God's humility and doing it in God's way, in his fashion. And all that to say, now we're going to be unholy and read some horoscopes. So,
hey, listen, I always go back to what do I always say
the
about the popes having, past popes having a astronomer as part of their council.
Yes,
so
yes.
I just see it. All we are doing is taking a look at the movement of the planets and the stars, which God is in control of, and just asking ourselves, is God trying to convey a message via his creations? That's all I see it as.
Yeah, I just see it as, it's fun. And that is how the darkness, that's how a deep dive into the spiritual darkness begins, is saying that something's fun. Isn't that how it starts?
Like a Ouija board. You pull the old
like a Ouija
board out of the...
I would not mess with that stuff. I was at, like, slumber parties when I was a kid, and I'm like, I'm getting out of the room. I can't do this.
Never have. I've seen way too many. I've seen The Conjuring. I've seen way too many movies. I shan't be involved in any of that.
So we have now decided, as a weekly ritual here, which sounds very demonic also, that we read Donald Trump's, and now newly anointed Kamala Harris, Democrat Vice President.
Kamala.
Vice President Kamala. Is it Kamala now?
I say both. Kamala. I don't
How
think
does
anybody
she
really
say
knows.
it? I have been correcting myself to say Kamala.
I think she says Kamala, similar to the wrestler, the Ugandan giant, Kamala.
Kamala.
She he had a casket match with the Undertaker.
We have to have a whole show on Kamala, but right now we are going to read Donald Trump's horoscope for today, July 28th, 2024. Pleasant surprises of one sort or another await you over the next few days, and by this time next week, you may be in need of a rest. Will you take it? Probably not. Your live wire Gemini nature is always searching for the next big thrill.
Sounds pretty accurate to the way the Donald is, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say so. So now, Kamala Harris, did I say it correctly this time?
I think so.
Kamala.
Does it really matter?
Kamala. It kind of does. We're
I guess.
broadcasters.
Yeah.
I used to work for an NPR station. I should be better at this. Today for Kamala Harris, who is a Libra, according to the New York Post. You may be inclined not to compromise on an issue you feel strongly about, but the planets warn it could easily turn into a vendetta that eats you in your time. And wait, let me back up. Sorry. You may be inclined not to compromise on an issue you feel strongly about, but the planets warn it could easily turn into a vendetta that eats into your time and energy. Is it worth getting so worked up about? No, few things are.
Interesting. Interesting. By the way, do you think that Biden endorsed Kamala right away as a little fu to Obama, who
Absolutely,
is clearly not
absolutely.
into Kamala
Yes,
at
yes.
all?
We talked about this last week, and I before that really, I think that was like one of the first things we opened with last week, and we said, I said immediately, I said, I think Joe just did this as a little, just a little stab at the Democrats for throwing him under the bus. And then it came out in the New York Post, I think Friday, that said that was essentially just an FU to Obama and the Democrats. So,
I
uh,
don't blame him. It's like,
yeah,
hey, pal, you got me involved in this whole thing right from
yeah,
the get-go.
yeah,
You orchestrated all this, and
yeah.
now you're just brushing me aside. Like, well, you know what? I'm gonna endorse this cackling wench here, and good luck with that, buddy.
I
Right?
have friends that were fighting with me saying that that Obama is not in charge of the Democrat Party, that he's not involved and he's not. I said I don't know
Yeah.
that he's necessarily not. Maybe he's not
He just
necessarily
lives
in
in DC. He's just
charge
he's just the only president to have stayed
ever
in
in
DC
DC. Yeah, to taking up
after his
residence.
term.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of the administration was just Obama holdovers from 2012, so or
Right.
2016 I should say. Yeah, like you said, it's I is he in charge? I don't know necessarily, but obviously he carries a lot of weight.
He's
He's
a general.
definitely, yes, yeah. And to say that is kind of ignorant of everything that took place with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and Donna Brazile, and like what they have told us time and time again, which we have found out that no, they do really control who gets into the power. There are people calling the shots. Now, obviously, Biden making this endorsement did affect uh did kind of sway things. So maybe Obama's not the true kingmaker and Pelosi's not the ultimate queen maker, if you so
Well, it's like there's
please.
only so much he could do once it gets to a certain point.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
once all these senators and governors and everybody has, thrown their endorsement, it's like his hands are tied
yeah,
at a certain
yeah,
point. So,
absolutely. Well, it shall be another glorious week. I hope that your eating regimen is off to a great start. I'm sure by Tuesday you'll be telling me how you have a renewed sense of energy, vitality,
oh,
and yes, yes,
I'm gonna wake up early and I'm gonna get my exercise
take a
in,
10-mile
and
run.
yeah, you know how it goes.
All the
But
things, all the productivity hacks. all of the Colin and I actually talked about doing in the future. If you people would just sponsor us or give us some money of some kind, we would like to try all of the productivity hacks that are put out on like the viral, make sure that you drink apple cider vinegar for 6 weeks and stay up or something like Jordan Peterson said, and whatever he
Yeah.
said. Yeah, just whatever, just all these little, meditate for 10 minutes, do cold showers. We'd like to just take
Cold
like a
plunge, the
week where
sauna.
we do all of the things and report back what's actually been beneficial, because there's a lot of tricksters out there. We want to make sure people are informed about what is actually going to revolutionize their lives.
Well, hey, I'm starting it off with the shot of olive oil, extra virgin olive
Perfect.
oil in the morning. So I will I'm gonna give that like a month,
Yeah.
and I will report in on my birthday and let you know if I've noticed any discernible change in my cognitive function, my overall well-being. So I will keep you up to date on that. But I think that is a wrap for today, Karen. So listen, we appreciate you all tuning in and hanging out with us each and every Sunday here on the ReEducation Camp podcast. So give us a follow on X, Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe to us on Rumble. We're in so many places. And we'll be back right here next week. Hopefully a little bit earlier if Karen's not out too late the night before. Imbibing, indulging in the nightlife, in whatever nightlife there is in the area that she lives in. But everybody have a great week, and we'll see you here next week.